Alright, so now we're going to get into taking the valve out. And you're going to want a 1/2 inch, what does this say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 point will work fine. And this is just Craftsman. It's on the 1/4 inch drive. Fits down there perfectly. This one was hand tight. Was not really tight, but we had some leaking issues out of this. You saw in the video. We want to check a couple things on this. Chris wanted me to check a couple things on it, and the valve comes out pretty easily. And one thing I see on this is, see how that spring is cockeyed off to the side? These will want to leak if you put a side load on these valves. So we're going to do, yeah, this spring is really tight on there, and I'm pretty confident that's why it was leaking. I think it was putting a side load. How these valves work, and let me zoom in a little bit. How these valves work is they have a hole in the end there, and when the spring is closing the valve, right? As long as the hammer doesn't have pressure on it, the spring is closing the valve. Air pressure, there's air pressure on the outside in the surface area, and spring pressure holding the valve closed. Additionally, there's air goes through this front of the valve into the back, and there's a little chamber in the back here that has an O-ring that seals on both sides. And the size of that chamber and the surface area on the brass pin puts an equal force trying to push the valve open when it's at rest. And so it takes very little force. That's why they can use an aluminum hammer to open this valve. It takes very little force to open the valve. And because it's always putting pressure. So when the valve gets opened, air swings around this and then dumps to the valve, fires the paintball gun, lowers the pressure chamber, then lowers the pressure in the front chamber, and subsequently lowers the pressure in this back chamber, which then allows the spring to take over force and push it back into place and hold it. So with this valve, you see how it wiggles back and forth? You want it to have a nice square setting, but when a spring is cockeyed like that, if you have a leaky valve, most likely it's because the spring's crooked, and there is a fix for that. Nova's working on that for people that have issues with it. We're going to fix this one later. I'm not going to go through it. I'll let them. It's their fix. I was the one that figured out the fix, but they're going to be addressing any valves that have issues with that. And see if I can take everything apart there. And you can see here's the 2 O-rings in the back. So this O-ring right here creates that little chamber in there. As the air pressure comes through, you see a little hole right there. It pressurizes this area. That's the surface area. You can, if I can get in close enough here. That's the surface area right there. And whatever PSI is pressing on essentially that surface area, that's what's pushing it forward. That's the amount of pounds per square inch. With these valves, you want to lube them. They like lube. So, and this is the one, I'm not going to reassemble this marker in this, at least I'm not going to reassemble the valve. I'll probably, actually I will put it back in there probably without the spring, because we're going to do the fix to it. But they like lube. I recommend, you can get this at Docfire Paintball, slick oleum. That's what they use. I can smell it. And so any type of these balanced poppet valves, they are like a spool valve to a certain degree. They like lube. Don't be afraid to pour it to it. You put the lube on there, it's not going to hurt anything. Let it rip, tater chip. That's the way I look at it. And it's really lube on the valve stem itself, on these O-rings. You want to make sure they go in there, they're not clipped, everything functions fine going forward and backwards. That's really important. I'm going to pop this out. I just want to inspect on the inside. Clean my fingers off real quick. I want to do a flashlight. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but I'm going to flashlight down in here. And I want to make sure there aren't any burrs or anything in here. And that is important. Get a Q-tip down in this hole. Just clean this stuff up, make sure there isn't any dirt. Sometimes, you know, when these things get manufactured and they're in the facilities that are dusty, you know, things can get dirty. And so that looks good down in there. Sure everything's nice and clean. Looks like it is. And we are going to put a little bit of lube on the end of this little Q-tip. I'm going to shove it in this hole. Put some lube on it. Rub this lube in there. We're just going to, just want to rub it on the inside. Just want a nice lubed up part. Put these O-rings in here. They feel like they're sealing good. You can inspect these O-rings, make sure there aren't any chips in them, especially this O-ring here, this front one, and that's all looking good. And that should be good. I'm not going to put that back in there. The spring that's used on here, I think, is equivalent to the white spring in the Fire series. I think it is. So if you're curious on that, and no, I don't give my spring numbers up. So with that, let's go and look down on the body. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Let's look at the spring perch on the inside. Check for any Teflon in here, because we had some Teflon. I think I see a piece down in there. If I can go get it. I think I just got it. And I did. It's probably right here on the end. Yep, here it is right there. You can just, oh, right here, trying to get into this camera. A little piece of Teflon there. There it is, my hand. That little piece of Teflon could have been causing the leak, so I don't use Teflon. And they're not using it anymore, so not the end of the world. Check all that. Check. Oop. My light is not happy. There it goes. Make sure there aren't any burrs in here. I always check for burrs and stuff. Looks really clean. So, yeah. All right. So that, make sure I got everything kind of through here. We're going to reassemble this. Well, let's talk about, you know, how to put this back in. We can. I'm not going to put the spring on the front because I'm going to take this back out and do some modifications to it. If you want any of these modifications done to your valve, it does void the warranty, by the way. So just be careful on that. You know, but you can send it to me and we will do it. Now, I did talk to Chris. We talked about, he told me today from Nova, he says run it till it's all the way down, and he says it doesn't matter where, if it's lined up where you see the slot. Now when I took this apart the first time, it wasn't ran till it was all the way down, it was ran to where it was lined up. He says it doesn't make a difference. I don't know. I really don't know. But my curiosity, I want to see something here real quick. I'm going to take this valve out. Now, one of the things is, I've always wondered, is that a standard valve doesn't stick this far back. So your hammer is not traveling as far, so it's got a shorter distance to get to make to velocity. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I'm more curious on this. I want to stretch an O-ring. And I'm going to put, looks like a number 13. I'm going to push this down like that. I'm going to stretch this over here. I'm going to stretch it over the back here. Shits and giggles. I'm curious. And I'm not trying to seal anything, because this front O-ring is what seals in the chamber. I just want to see what type of friction that. I know the front O-ring sealing, and I'm trying to see if I put that O-ring there, if that actually allows me to stop. I want to get my nut driver. I like this a little bit better. You see that right about there, I can feel that back O-ring starting to see if I keep going in. Oh, that is just not long enough. Hold on. Parts everywhere. I need a longer extension. There we go. I want to see that right about there. That lines up really nice. I may keep that back O-ring there. I kind of like it. I'm kind of curious because when we shot this today, it shot 300 feet per second, about 251 psi. Okay, and it did that with, if you look down the side here, it was like this. See this part. Now Chris says, come on, focus. I'm trying to get everything to focus in here. See that bar down in there, the green bar? That's the crossbar. And we want to line it up so the hole, he says it shouldn't make a difference. I believe in flow paths a little bit. So, but he's done a lot more testing. Well, I've done a lot of testing on this valve. I have a prototype for a while. Done a lot of shooting with it on the sides. I constantly shoot that gun to make sure that nothing's changed. And but he says he doesn't notice anything. I don't know. When we reset all this, I'll do a final video of me shooting it after some of the mods that I've done and some of just the general work that I've done. Like I'm probably gonna polish the sear on the back here just a little bit. Don't really need to polish it on the tip. The hammer is anodized and smooth. I don't think it needs any work. You run it in the body. I just want to see how it feels in the body. Run this down. I want to make sure it runs in here nice and smooth. Real smooth. It's got to, sorry, throw was out of screen there. A little bit of wiggle. This hammer was dry. Didn't have any lube on it. We will put a little lube on it. I'll use a very light oil. That's all that's really needed on it. You don't need anything special. A lot of people like to use Triflow. I use the Shock Tech oil, which is just basically a light engine oil, not engine oil, it's a light like all-purpose oil, almost like a 3-in-1 oil. But we'll give that a try. But yeah, this spring is actually bent at the end, and that's not good. Shouldn't look like that. Let's put a side load, so I'm going to have to replace that spring. Now, normally if you have that same issue, you would just send it back to Nova, have them fix it for you. They have a warranty program. So, for instance, since the valve was leaking, okay, I asked Chris, I said, hey, how does the process work? Person gets a ready to roll gun, or RTR gun I call it, ready to race, and they screw their tank into it, they put a hopper on it, screw the barrel on it, and they go to the chrono station and it's leaking down the barrel and they gas it up. I said, bummer if that happens at the field, but that does happen in manufacturing. Sometimes you get something that made it through QC. Happens. How do they address it? And so obviously you'd want to reach out to Nova either by phone, I think their phone number's on the website, or Facebook message them to say, look, I bought a gun, here's my order number, I bought it, I just received it, and it's doing X, it's not functioning correctly. they said that we will reach out to the customer either by phone or email or message, and they will try to resolve the issue without having to ship the gun back. That's the goal, right? And if it's something that is a minor tweak thing or something like that, and they can fix it on their phone, that's best case scenario. If they can't, then they will, as long as it was a recent purchase, I don't know what the time frame is, they'll make that determination. I'm sure within like a month or so, or rather recent. They said that they would provide shipping back and forth to them, so you could they'll pay for shipping both ways to send the gun in and have it repaired and then ship back to you. So that's a company that stands by their product. So and then quite frankly, when I was talking to Chris, he says, we've had people that have had seals that have gone bad and stuff like that, and that happens. We just send them another one. So think about that's always good. I think the best thing to do is if you get any manufacturer, you get a marker from them and it's not performing as explained or I wouldn't say as anticipated, but as described in the sales, like it's leaking down the barrel or something's not right. The best course of action is to get in contact with them and say, look and don't be mad. They're not trying to sell you garbage. And I'm not saying just in paintball in general. They want to have you come back and buy more from them. So why would they send you something that's in poor condition that way? Their goal is not to send a defective product out. That's the whole thing. And so, send it. Give them a call. Give them the opportunity to make it right before you jump on social media, before you jump on the forum sites and do a complete complaint that I got it and it was garbage. Don't do that. That just destroys the people that are makers, that make stuff that we enjoy. That just destroys them and doesn't give them the opportunity to make it right. Now, if they don't make it right and you feel like you're getting jerked around, then then that's a platform that says, hey, here's my experience with XYZ company, and here's how it went. So I always say give them the opportunity. And I've purchased stuff and contacted companies when the product didn't work, and I've had some companies that didn't even know they sold that product, and then never got a conclusionary action on what to do, and I fixed it myself. Subsequently, I never bought from that company again, just because their customer service stunk, and that's unfortunate. They are out there, but Nova's not like that. Chris and TJ, I consider them both friends. That we have a lot of disagreements. We debate a lot on what's what and how to do certain things, and so we're very opinionated folks. But in the end, they're the manufacturer. They're the ones that are footing the money to initially make this product, and then get it to you guys, and then you guys are the consumers, and you want to buy something that's nice. And I don't see those folks, in the business of trying to, shyster folks out there. That's definitely for Nova, definitely not. So, and you kind of want to support folks that are making things that are different and cool. Give them your support. You may not like the gun. That means I'm not telling you to go out and buy it. I'm just saying that, hey, it's just not your style. That's okay. That's fine. It's just not your style. But some people do like it. So, I say these smaller companies, and Nova's a small company. They're not a big company. It's really comes down to it. They're sticking their neck out, especially in this economy. And then likewise, the consumer's sticking their neck out when they're purchasing any paintball product these days, because the cost of paintball is through the roof. Or not paintball, just the cost of everything's through the roof. And people don't have as much money in their pocket, so they do want to get their values worth. So it's inherent of the company to do their best to try to get the person's value, whatever it's sold for, that they're getting a valued product. So I'm a true believer that you want the gun to come functioning, And a lot of times, there are some, not a lot of times, there are some times that it didn't happen, and it was not a fault by anyone, just something slipped through the cracks. So give them the benefit of the doubt, and they will always work with you. But outside of that, what else did I need to look at? Got the grips, cocking rod, IVG. Do we look at the IVG? IVG looks pretty standard. O-rings all the way in the back. Interesting. Nothing wrong with that. It's nice, aluminum, lightweight. Frame screws. Let me show you the frame screws, or not frame screws, the grip panel screws. I like these screws. Let me get them in focus. They're kind of a pan head, but a tall pan head. They look good. They don't look like the standard screws you see in grip frames that are like the dome head. And I like these, look better. They just look cleaner. So kudos to Nova for making just a nice screw. It's a nice flat top. Just looks good. So kudos to them on that one. We don't need to take off this front shaft. Like I said, as Nova is working on having these all Loctite into place, so they come to you, there's no twist on it. But outside of that, that is the tear down and kind of in-depth look at all the parts, and hopefully this is helpful for some of you. And then go buy more paintball stuff. Support all of us. And if you guys want any of the work that I've done to if you've bought one of these guns and you want me to go through it and kind of trick it out, send it in. I'm probably going to have some option on my website for that, specifically for Nova guns. There are other techs out there that you could do the same with, and let's just kind of go down a list of techs that I know. And this is not in any order of good, bad, or whatever, but there's obviously me, Docfire Paintball. There's Bearded Work. There's Jason Aptel and Grey Autocockers. There's Cocker Top, Dylan Masalis. There's Peanut Autocockers, Peanut Works. And why am I losing his name right now? Chris. I can't remember Chris' last name. I'm just losing it right now. There are some guys in Southern California that are big pump guys, and I'm losing his name. I think he techs at Time to Paintball, and he's part of the Daggers, I think. And God, I'm losing his name. I can't think of it right now. I'm horrible when it comes to that. And I put myself on the spot. And I'm trying to go down some other names. There's a few other on Facebook that I don't personally know that are doing cocker work, and I hear they're doing good work. So, you could send it to folks that, find people that are, some people do pump stuff. If you want to trick these things out with different parts, no problem. If you got one with a full block kit and you want to send it in to any of us techs, we could fully outfit it as a mechanical autococker for you. Get that all up and running. And yeah, all of that service is available. And use whatever tech that you are comfortable with and you personalities work with you. And think about sending, I want to challenge some people to buy these pumps, is send them to CK Fight Life. Chris Crisino, he offers a laser service. And get some laser work done by him. I do laser work, but I'm not an artist. That guy's an artist. His laser art, it's beautiful. The other artist I would send it to is Mark Davis Hand Engraving. It's a little bit more coin, but this is a phenomenal canvas to work on. Just a phenomenal canvas to do hand engraving on. So there's nice flat surfaces. I think it's fairly easy for him to wrap this. Well, easy is, it's difficult, but I think it's, there's just a lot of space here. And I think there's a couple other laser engraver folks out there that do that. Also, if you want to go get this thing cut up, Jason Antle, Bearderworks, Jake from Bearderworks. BMC, I think he's doing work like that. You have Estillo down in Southern California. I think he's taking in work. All these guys, reach out to them, kind of find out. Maybe they'll show you some designs or whatever, their style. Go get it cut up. What a great body to cut up, for the price. You save yourself a little coin there. So, have fun with it. And buy more paintball stuff during the hard times. Makes you feel good. But that's all I have. Thanks for everyone for watching this video. And if you haven't done so, and it's YouTube, hit the bell. And then the other thing, like the like button and the bell button, which lets you know when I get other videos. And then hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to hit subscribe. It's free. And I don't blast out videos a lot, but the subscribe does help, and I do appreciate that. I don't make any money from YouTube, so, but I do appreciate the subscribers. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. You have a great night.